The state of Tennessee has an incredible array of historical sites, many predating the state itself. Cindy Carter recently visited one historic home in Gallatin that is actually older than the Hermitage. And while it's not as famous, it has a rich history all its own.
Let's be honest, most Tennesseans probably never even heard of the Douglas Clark House. And it's also a safe bet that folks driving along busy Long Hollow Pike near Gallatin fly right past the little house without a second glance. But it's Douglas Clark's historic interpreter, Andrew Spicer's mission.
Talking about history is my thing.
Calling, actually, to change that.
I have a lot of people who they come in for a tour not knowing at all what to expect, and then I give them this 45-minute tour at the end. They're just blown away by how much information they were able to learn.
This historic gem was built in 1786 by early settler Elmore Douglas, a cabin for his growing family at a time when Tennessee was still part of North Carolina.
He was exploring with several other pioneers who just came out here. They camped out here somewhere along the Station Camp Creek. Elmore Douglas evidently liked the land, and he put in for the application, and he was granted a piece of this land.
Initially just a two-room cabin, Andrew uses Douglas Clark to paint the full picture of just how the various families who once called this place home lived and survived.
They had 10 kids. If you can imagine in this space 10 kids. What I can imagine is mom and dad saying, go play outside.
Just before the turn of the century, as the area became more settled, so did the need for public infrastructure. There certainly wasn't a courthouse available in this rugged, undeveloped region. Elmore Douglas offered his home for the greater good.
It was the courthouse of Sumner County from 1788 to 1790, before Tennessee became a state. This house was built 10 years before Tennessee became a state. In 1789, they appoint a new district attorney who was a 21-year-old man named Andrew Jackson. So Andrew Jackson practiced law in this home.
Andrew Spicer, not Jackson, stresses the former United States president who once paced these floorboards did so at a time in his life that the public may not be as familiar with.
He was 21 years old at the time, was not quite the same guy that you see on the $20 bill, did not have the white hair yet. He was a redhead, if you can believe it, which might explain a few things.
As the area became more settled, the need for a makeshift courthouse ends, and full-time family life returns to the little cabin. Elmore Douglas's niece, Emma, and her husband, William S.F. Clark, add on 2 additional rooms to the 2-room cabin, which offer a bit more space for the couple's 10 children.
4 of Emma's sons are going to fight for the Confederacy during the Civil War. 3 of them are going to die during the course of the war. We have the boys here who fought for the Confederacy, but we also have a former enslaved man. His name was Winchester Clark. He was born into slavery on this property. During the Civil War, he self-emancipates. He joins the Union Army. He ultimately fights the Battle of Nashville.
So the story of the Douglas Clark House not only reflects Tennessee's origins, but also includes painful and complicated parts of our nation's history.
It's the responsibility of all historians who work with the public to be able to present that side of history because it's been so ignored for so long.
The house itself was ignored for a long time. The Douglas Clark family and their descendants lived here quietly until the house was sold out of the family in the 1950s and eventually stood empty. Highway travelers and nearby Station Camp Creek visitors never gave it a passing glance until developers building a nearby subdivision did, realized what they had, and donated the abandoned cabin to the Sumner County government for restoration.
Many of the items on display inside the house, like this Civil War-era bullet, were found just by walking around the grounds. Piece by piece, they tell the story of a family, not famous or particularly unique, but the site does offer a true glimpse into how Tennesseans once lived.
All right, so welcome folks. My name is Andrew. I'll be your historian.
Every day, Andrew brings pioneer life alive with the help of an incredible visual aid. Something Sumner County, Tennessee has more than its fair share of, says the county's tourism executive director, Barry Young.
We're a well-kept secret in Sumner County. We have more than our share of historic sites. We have well over a dozen sites in Sumner County, ranging from the Revolutionary War all the way through the Civil War. So if we have history buffs out there, we love for them to come and visit.
Old homes and buildings often get torn down to pave the way for progress. It almost happened to Douglas Clark. But Sumner County has managed to hang on to places like the unusually large log bridal house in Cottontown or Hendersonville's Rock Castle.
We have more state-owned historic sites in Sumner County, I believe, than any other county.
And that's why Andrew Spicer and the Douglas Clark House are such a good fit.
So Andrew Jackson practiced law in this room.
This young historian enthusiastically leads the charge to take the little cabin off the almost forgotten list. One story-filled tour at a time.
I really enjoy it. It's what I would be doing even if no one was paying me. Ask my parents, they will tell you.